What's in the box?
Do you want?
What's in the box?
Dun dun dun.
What's in the box?
What's in
the box? What's in the box?
To steer the ship, Captain.
So I want to talk about being unheard and then wrap that into the mind and body connection. As far as unheard, going back to like not being able to express yourself or find the right words.
Mhm.
So like all you can do is say I'm not okay. And then some people are like, well, what else do you want me to do?
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you say that, do you want somebody to help you or do you want somebody to leave you alone? You know what I mean?
Yeah, help.
Okay.
And
Because some
then-
people say that.
Also like that's why therapy doesn't work for me, or I haven't found the right person to do therapy with. Because when I used to talk, I would be very like, this is what I can talk about. I can't talk about anything more.
Mhm.
So then it would just be constant. You shouldn't have to go through that. That's
Or like
not fair.
Or like a cycle of like.
The same thing basically, and it's like all pity, and I'm like, that's not what I want.
Mhm.
You're just feeling bad for me. Like, I don't care. I have to go through this anyway. I'm trying to figure it out, not.
I think that that's a hard thing for people to really, because most people don't want. I don't know how to word that. Most people don't want to go through their drama,
Mhm.
like figure out why the whys.
I do.
They just want. I don't. I enjoy it too, but I'm saying most people don't. Most people just want the magic saying of like, that sucks that you went through that, and they go, oh, I feel better now. Most
Because
people
they
don't
just
want.
want the acknowledgement.
Most
Like-
people don't want the whys.
I think I was talking to Grandma about this. Like, part of PTSD, my PTSD was like, arguments is like, the yelling leads to fighting, the fighting leads to
Mhm.
like actually physical. So I'm like, every relationship I've been mad, but I've never raised my voice or
Mhm.
yelled at the person.
Or even, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to speak for you, but even the, like, when they are loud, your
Yeah.
anxiety of like, oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
So-
sorry.
Yeah,
I
when they
didn't-
get
yeah.
loud, I'll be like, okay,
I need to take a walk.
chill out, or
Yeah.
like try to give them a hug or something.
Mhm.
Just
But what-
because like I see that in a way, it's starting here, it will end up to here,
Yeah.
just
And-
from like a trauma perspective.
What have you learned, though, recently about that?
Nothing. I still believe in that. I still don't raise my voice.
But it doesn't always have to get to that point.
Yeah.
I think you've learned that also.
I know that, and I know that it always doesn't, but I still feel it always can, especially if I were to start yelling back.
Mhm. But also, that's one I'll tag into this, and then I'll make a point about the unheard thing. But I've said this, and I'm sorry if this is gonna sound to you guys like I'm putting you guys on the spot, but to the point of like also working through that aspect and learning that about yourself of like, I understand that because of these things in my past,
Yeah,
this affects me, or this triggers me, or this is where this comes from,
Mhm.
is really helpful. Can you not? Is really helpful moving forward. There's a moment in, and I'm not blaming you guys. I've said this,
Mhm.
but I'm prefacing it for what I'm about to say.
Mhm.
I'm not blaming you guys for this, but I had seen my parents fight my entire life, and
Yeah.
always like came back together of like, we love each other, we're the best for each other, whatever.
yeah,
And so always, my entire life, like there would be screaming matches, there would be whatever, and then at the end of the day, it would be like, well, we love each other.
I can hide when you're done.
So I grew up thinking that they're not beating the shit out of each other. It's not an abusive home. I have loving parents. So this is what a loving relationship is like.
Yeah.
We just scream at each other. If I'm angry at you, I scream at you, you scream at me, we fight, whatever, right? Which I've said for the two of you over time, if that works for you, that's fine. But
Mhm.
I didn't have that perspective when I was young. So then when I got in a relationship that was on both sides verbally and mentally abusive, I pushed through it because of that reference. Because I was like, this is just how we just scream at each other sometimes. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later that when I got out of that and when I started looking inwardly of like other things that I kind of connected the dots to that of like, that's where that came from, is that like I had built it in my head of like, this is what people who love each other do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not punching you. We're not throwing chairs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just saying really mean things to each other all the time and arguing all the time. But that's what happens when you're in a relationship.
I think that's another thing that is like also a learning step. But like, you can be mad, but you should still not use like the trauma in the past of the other person
Mm-hmm.
and bring that up, especially if it's like something like very personal. With
Mhm.
like, okay, but you did this,
Mhm.
and then they're like, oh, you don't really love me, or you don't really care,
Or else you wouldn't bring this up.
right?
Mhm.
The only time, in my opinion, the only time in a perfect world, healthy relationship, the only time that your past should ever get brought up is in an acknowledgement sort of way.
Yeah.
Of like, if you're yelling at me, I can, in a loving way, be like, hey, this feels like this is where this is coming from.
Mhm.
Is this where this is coming
Yeah,
from?
and like
are you,
that, that's
like,
a
in
healthy
that-
way.
in that direction, rather
But,
than
like-
like you're just mad that this happened, or you're
And, like,
just this happened
Because I
or
told
whatever.
you did this, you're like, okay, but you did this.
Yep.
I think that's a big part that people need to stop doing.
But I'll
Because
tell
it breaks trust and honesty and
and it's one of those things
very
that
quickly.
and it's one of those things that I don't think other going back to the first person mentality or main character mentality, I don't think anybody realizes it until it happens to them.
Yeah.
But for some people, it's not as easy to tell people things as other people. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, there are some people that it doesn't matter if it's the worst shit that's ever happened to them. It's very easy for them to just tell whoever will listen about everything. And
Yeah,
there are some people that it's not easy for. And so for you to break that, for me to be vulnerable enough to tell you something, and then for you to break that trust and throw it back in my face, even if you're not telling other people,
Yeah.
hits way, I shouldn't say harder, hits deeper
Yeah.
than somebody that doesn't have to be that vulnerable to tell you something.
Like
Mhm.
while I was in the mental hospital, one of the girls in there was like, yeah, I will walk around and talk to anyone who can talk.
Mhm.
And I was like, just thinking about that a lot. Because like while I was in there also, I was like worrying about everyone else still,
Mhm.
because that's just who I am. I'm such a loving person, whether you've done wrong to me or not.
Mhm.
So like when we're in our rooms, there was a girl right across from me. But we left our doors open just because it's easier, because they come check on you every 15 minutes.
Mhm.
So if you're trying to like sleep or whatever, it's easier to leave your door open so they won't like irritate you. So I had seen her like walking and pacing back and forth around the room. So I'm like, okay, she's probably thinking a lot in her head, having anxiety. So I throw like the fidget ball I had across the hallway to give to her. And she looks at me like puppy eyes almost,
Mm-hmm.
sits on her bed and just starts playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that makes me feel better about myself.
But
It was
also,
good because you threw her a lifeline.
but also that's that's what I was gonna say. But also that's you using an extension of you that you felt. I don't know how to word that. That you felt compelled. It's not the word I want to use, but it's the best one I have right now. Compelled to do that, and that helped somebody else, and it wasn't out of your character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, like that made you feel good, but it wasn't that you did it to make
To
yourself.
feel
Make,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then another thing, I could just tell immediately, like almost every single one of the people working in there have been through this type of stuff. So I'm like asking them, I'm like, what are your coping mechanisms? What do you do when it gets this bad? and I'm just learning. And when I was in there, I was just trying to learn
as much
as
as
much
possible.
as possible.
Do you think that that's an important thing for somebody that's going into those roles to have gone through stuff like that? Do you think that's important?
Most definitely, because if you haven't, then you're gonna look at some of these kids like they're crazy.
Or in the same vein as somebody that reads all the books to be a doctor, but has never broken a bone
Yeah.
or like anything like that.
Yeah,
And like
and had
'Cause-
to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the kids in there were like I was telling other people, I was like, because other people were talking about putting themselves in there just to like mentally heal, and I'm like, if you do go to Bellin. And me personally, I don't care about sharing my experience, but some people will take that as like, you're batshit crazy.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's not what it is, at least for the adolescent unit. It's
Mhm.
people with very bad depression, very bad PTSD, very bad problems dealing with their emotions.
Mhm.
And like the people in there were like trying to like off themselves, like overdosing on stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow, I could get to that point,
Mhm.
and I don't want to. So I'm like really just trying to be there for everyone. Like while we're at lunch, there's a girl who like didn't eat much and like was always like staring into the table, fidgeting and stuff. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, she's overthinking about something. So I literally just say, what are you thinking about? And she's like, nothing. So I'm like, all right, let's go get something small to eat. And like I wasn't eating at that point either. So I was like, she was like, okay, but you need to get something small to eat too. And I was like, okay, that's actually like, I'm helping you, but
And
you're
you're
also
helping me.
making sure that I'm getting help as well. And that's like, was the realization, like, I can help people, but I have to make sure it's not a one way.
Mhm.
And I need to also like, not necessarily receive help, but feel like it's acknowledged. And then also we're trying to grow and be better in a sense, like even like a friendship.
Mhm.
It has to be a two-way thing. It can't be I'm always trying to make you better, and
I feel like
you don't really care how I feel.
I feel like and I'll use my personal experience as an example, but I think there's a good, and not a lot of people can do it, but there's a good thing in people that can hold the world for other people. Because I feel like that's something, in my opinion, that's something that's very rare. But also, it's something that if you are that person, you need to be aware of inside of you
Mhm.
before it gets to a breaking point and before it gets to a point of like, I can't hold this anymore. Because I've done that forever. That's part of my personality. Part of who I am is to give space to other people. I can hold your whatever you want to call it emotional state.
Yeah.
I can put mine on the back burner for you.
Yeah.
And I've always been that way. But then
Me too.
it took me a long time to realize, and a lot of
That's
mental breakdowns and stuff, to realize that like although that's good and although I can do that and I can handle that, there are times where you are more important and that you can't help anybody if you're not working on yourself or giving yourself that space as well.
Mhm.
But also realizing that that is a superpower and a part of you, and not a lot of people have. Like, Grandpa doesn't understand depression.
Yeah.
Understanding that, it
I think
makes you way better than him.
I think
Pretty much.
I think it's I can understand it, and I can think that's a good mindset to have. Is like depression isn't a thing, because he's a big on like it's a choice, and that's what I've come to take in, is that I can choose to take this negative as a negative, or I can choose to take this negative as a learning lesson.
Yep.
And I've been doing that a lot lately, and been like looking into other people's perspective instead of just mine.
And there's a thing not a lot of people have, but there's a thing in that of going down that rabbit hole of exploration of what things mean, how things work, why people do the things that they do.
Yeah.
That is beneficial. And again, going back to not a lot of people have that ambition or want.
Mhm.
They're kind of just surface of like, I don't really care why things happen. I just know I feel this way or that person was mean to me.
Yeah.
But I feel like once you go down that road, it clears a lot of things up for not only you, but how you see other people.
Yeah.
Because you're able, like I said before, you're able to, that person pissed me off. I wonder what, like, was going on with
What's
them.
going
to
on
why,
with them,
yeah.
to why they got angry, to why it's so bad that
And
they're
it
doing
lessens,
it to other people.
yeah, and it lessens that, like, they were mean to me. And not that you can't be upset that somebody's mean to you, but it kind of lessens that blow of, like, yeah, they were mean to me. That sucks. I wonder what was going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it changes your perspective on how people move through the world. And not only that, but how you react to things. So, like, if you react in a negative way because you're going down this road of, like, figuring out the whys and whatever, you're able to be like, oh, shit, I didn't really mean that.
Yeah.
I didn't really mean to. I wonder why I did that. Oh, I know why I did that. Okay, that really wasn't like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think another thing is the people who do help people and that makes them feel
Mhm.
better is like you have to know the boundaries of that
Mm-hmm.
and the self-respect of that and like people pleaser, what
Mhm.
everyone says.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to not go out of your comfort zone to do it. And
Yep.
I feel like I have done that.
It's really hard not to do that when you have that inside of you because
Yeah.
your body just tells you it doesn't matter if I have to jump off the ledge into rocks. That's what will take to make this person happy.
Yeah.
So I'll do that, even if that's going to hurt me, even if I end up breaking legs, bones, die, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
This gets me to making them feel better.
Yeah.
And like
you
you're
have to think about yourself.
and like you're saying, putting boundaries on that of like I could jump off the ledge
To make you feel better.
but
then that
I'm
will
not going to
also
let
affect
myself
me.
get up here. We need to figure out something before I get to the ledge.
Mhm.
I'll do it because it's who I am, but I don't want to get there.
Right. So let's figure it out. What compromise
Yeah.
can we make
Mhm.
that you're still going to feel better and I'm going to be able to help you,
Mhm.
but I'm
I
not going to have to die and
I
get
have a
hurt.
question for everybody, and I want everybody's individual
Separate
opinion.
opinions.
I know Grandpa's big on family, but is there a point to where you separate yourself from that family because you know what they are doing is wrong?
I'll go last because I've already said my opinion on this on other podcasts.
Again, we don't want to name names.
To add on to that, separation as in cutting them off completely, separation as in just distancing.
If there was a family member, and this is rude or whatever the word I'm looking for, of me, if there is a family member that is so extremely negative that I can't be around that. I just can't. I mean, I don't like the word can't either, but I'm sorry, your life is what it is. And I don't want to jump on that choice bandwagon either. But you could do something to fix this. You could, or at least try. And you don't want to try. I can see that you don't want to try. And I have family members like that I just don't care to be around it.
Mhm.
It's kind of like
it's not necessarily that you don't care, it's that you don't see how you can help anymore.
Or that it's not beneficial.
I don't think they're going to accept my help.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I think I told you this. I know Zach knows this. Your grandma and I, when we fight. We don't throw things under the rug anymore.
That's what I was going to add earlier. Is that I'll let you finish first.
And you know, it's like my friend Ross said. Oh, I get that's how you work things out, but I don't want to be around it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Family.
But
Like
you were going to say?
What you were saying about like how you see the perfect relationship and
Mhm.
stuff. Like I grew up seeing arguments lead to yelling, lead to
Physical.
physical abuse, and then so I see grandma and grandpa as literally the perfect relationship because every time they argue, I just smile and think like, okay, this little petty stuff.
You guys are
No,
stupid.
no, because he's been around us and he goes, I love you guys.
You guys are stupid.
You guys' love is bigger than the little petty stuff you argue about.
But this
because they will argue about
But this
anything.
is what I've said to the both of them when I've made reference to that, is that not that me acknowledging that or feeling that way means it's wrong. It's just you start to take, kind of like parenting, you start to take like certain things and like, okay, I just don't want, kind of the same as Robbie, and like I just don't want to be around it. Not that I'm going to say that you guys have a shitty relationship because you choose to do this. Like I can tell, anybody can tell that like you guys love each other. That's not the case. It's just when you start to cherry pick, you're like, okay, I just don't want this part.
Yeah.
Like I just don't like. I'll take the rest of this. I just don't want like.
I'm sorry, it's
just
the
this.
package.
Yeah, I just don't want. And
You
like,
don't get a cherry pick. I'm
I
sorry.
was saying like a big thing about that is like when you disagree with something that not necessarily your partner, but even like a friend.
Mhm.
If you disagree with something they do to someone else, and them and someone else are going at it, you should not necessarily agree with them, but at least support them until you're out of that situation to correct them.
I think that is a good point,
I agree with
especially
you.
especially for relationships. I think that's a good point.
Mhm.
I think that, and me and Cheryl have said that about parenting. That I feel like that's a big downfall of parenting, and why most kids go, when mom says no, they go to dad, hoping for a different reaction, because they know that like either this is gonna make a fight, and then I can just go do whatever I want anyway,
Mhm.
or vice versa. One of them is going to say the opposite. And for parenting wise, me and Cheryl have done that. That like if we have disagreements, or if we have like ways that differ,
Mhm.
we'll back each other up on what the other person said, but then later be like, so why did we make this decision?
Was
Like,
it really that big a thing?
what was it? No, like she it's not so much anymore, because obviously over time we've adjusted and like whatever, but like it was like that with the girls for a long time, of like I would say something or like get upset about something, or be like, I can't believe you're not doing this thing or whatever, like picking up their room, for example, or whatever. And I would get upset about it, and she would back me up, and she would be like, well, he told you, whatever. And then later she'd be like, was that really that big a deal? Like, you know what I mean? But I think there is something to be said about taking that away from the situation and getting it in a way of like, okay, now we're going to talk about this, rather than screaming and yelling at each other and trying to fight
Because
it out
a big thing
in that moment.
In that.
And it also gives space to where you guys can calm down too, because I feel like arguing in that moment, your immediate reaction, and that can change over time, but most people's immediate reaction is hurt first before the other person can hurt you.
Mhm.
So if you're instinctually arguing in a moment, and you haven't, like, obviously, like, you guys over time have learned, but like if you haven't done that, then your initial reaction is going to cause more issues than if you were to just give it a couple minutes and really calm down and be like, this is really what I'm mad about. It's not this other shit. It's not the brush. It's not, you know what I mean? It's this. This is what we need to hash out.
Bringing that brush up.
It's
Another
really my problem because it's OCD.
It is OCD.
Well,
Anyways,
another
that's
reason I say that is because other people will look at the bad more than the good.
Mhm.
If you're in a high school relationship and you go over to your girlfriend's house, your girlfriend could be irritating you, pushing you on purpose, and then you're like, I can't take this anymore, and you push her down,
Mhm.
and she tells her mom,
Mhm.
"You're out of there. You're not coming back. Or you're not coming back around my daughter."
Mhm.
But then you're just thinking like, but they don't understand the whole story.
Yep,
And all of what happened.
I've had a similar situation of arguing, yelling, screaming, on my end being pushed, on my end being like pushed through doors and whatever, and then just as like a stop, I don't want to be in the situation, like grabbed her arms and like set her down on the bed, and
Yeah.
that was the whole story that was told the next day of how I was so angry that like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And that's what I have not and will not ever hit a girl, but I have
Good.
pushed someone away from me just because they were actually trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
And I can understand why people do, because like the girl on extreme situations, like the girl is trying to hurt you, she's doing it on purpose with ill intent. You're just trying to protect yourself at that point.
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily that you're trying to hurt them, but you're in like a crisis situation, so you're just trying to protect yourself. And that's why one of my past relationships, she had asked me, I know you wouldn't hit a girl, what if there was multiple girls hitting me?
Mhm.
And I was like, I'd have to think about that, but I probably would help you. And
At least enough to get you like,
Right.
out. Yeah. Are you done with your answer?
Pop you people in their face.
Are you done with your answer?
Yeah, I think so.
You? I'm going last.
I forgot the question.
About family.
does it get to a certain point where you have to distance or potentially even cut off certain family?
I personally think family is family and that you don't cut them off. I do believe that there's certain points where for your own sanity, you need breaks from family.
Mhm.
And I believe it is what the situation is. I think you need a break because you need, I would say, I would never, I would never disagree with someone wanting to take a break from someone that they feel is being toxic to them, because I think that gives you a
Space.
better perspective on what the actual situation is.
And then it lets you think about what you did.
Yes. But I can't say that I would ever cut someone off completely in my family. But I can't say that for certain because it would depend on the situation. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there a certain thing or certain situation that could happen where you would?
If someone was physically hurting me.
Yeah.
Every time. I mean, and not without any, provocation.
Yeah.
That this person was physically hurting me or emotionally hurting me all the time.
Yeah.
Unprovoked. Not where they would jokingly say hurtful things or not.
Or you were the meanie first.
Or I was the meanie first and pushing, and then they said something mean or they pushed me or something. I mean, seriously, they were intending to physically harm me every time they saw me or mentally harm me every time they were trying. It was a very intentional thing. I think then in that kind of a case, then I would say, yeah, maybe cut them off. But I still think space does, just space does a world of wonders for people.
Yeah.
So
especially if they're in a if it's your family, I feel that's different.
So what I don't know how to word that. So what would be the difference for you between like needing space and cutting them off? Because like I would think that space in your eyes would be like a couple weeks or like a couple months or whatever. And is there a point where you as a person that would be like, I don't think cutting them off is like the right way to go? Like a point that you would be like, no, you're not going to be a part of my life or my kid's life or whatever, of like, no, we're done, outside of just like physical harm.
Well, personally, I don't think space means a certain time limit either, necessarily. And yes, to me, it would probably be like a couple weeks or something like that to me, because that would give me time to rethink the situation. And then I would want to go back and discuss it and say, okay, so this is how I took this.
Mm-hmm.
And so please explain to me how you meant this. Mm-hmm. If they came back with how they meant it was intentional and how it hurt me was what they meant to do, maybe I would say, well, then I don't think we need to have you a part of my family anymore. And I would say that also when it comes to my kids or grandkids. If you're hurting my kids or my grandkids, and I come back to you and I say, you know what, you intentionally hurt my son, let's say, because you're the one sitting here. You intentionally hurt my son. Did you mean to do that?
Yeah.
Or why, you know what I mean? And they say, you know, I'm so sorry. I would never want to hurt him. It just, you know, whatever the reason may be. And they had remorse for it. Then I'd be like, okay, well, you know, then we can work on that. But if they came back, well, because he's a little spoiled brat, you needed a good beating, then
I think that's a
No.
very respectable
Grandpa.
answer, because I think a lot of people who are looking at it on the outsiders go straight to, that wasn't right,
yeah.
then cut them off. But then I feel like you need a conversation with a lot of situations. What happened? What was the situation? Why did you do this? Do you know what you did was wrong and that you shouldn't do it again?
I
And
think
did you know how this affected me?
I heard.
And do you know this is how I see it from
Yeah.
my perspective?
I heard somebody do an interview a couple days ago, and the way that they were responding to the questions is idealistically. I'm not saying that I respond this way, or I probably could, but the way they were responding is that every time somebody would say something to them or ask them a question, they would go, so what I'm hearing you ask or what I'm hearing you say
I
is
think
this. And I think that that's a good thing to have, because you're recognizing, you're not only giving them back what they're asking you, so that you're acknowledging like, hey, I heard what you're saying, but also you're acknowledging in that moment of like, there's a possibility that I didn't hear what you were meaning.
That's why, like, I feel I can sense and pick up how people are feeling a lot. So I'll like guess and sometimes say it out loud. So I'll be like, Grandpa, are you overthinking right now? Or what are you thinking about? But I'll always confirm and be like, am I wrong? Making sure that I'm not just putting words into your mouth.
Well, I think, and I'm going to throw you under the bus this time, and I don't mean it to, but I think it's a good example.
Really
right
fit?
What?
Thanks.
Does that
Thanks.
really fit?
Thanks, Pot.
Okay, well, pot and kettle, if you could listen, there'll be a lot of times where you'll hear me say something a certain way. And so like, you'll hear it like I'm being aggressive to you or whatever. And you'll come back and go, and I'm like, what'd you do that for? And you're like, I just wanted you to hear how you sounded, which would be perfectly acceptable if you would put it as like Zach said.
This is how
I heard you saying this to me like this, because when somebody comes at you as well as the other way, you're like right away you're on guard and you're like, you know, I'm not really hearing what you're saying because I'm already pissed off at you right now. So I think I agree with you. I like that where you say, well, how I'm hearing, yes, I see your hand, sweetie. How I hear you is
We still got another 45 minutes. You're fine.
Is that what you meant? Or what did you mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a better way to go at it. What did you mean?
So you're feeling like instead of him trying to show you this is what you're doing, it's like him mocking you in a sense?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like him mocking me, or it's like if I didn't intend it, wait a minute.
I'm holding my hand up.
Okay, see? How I feel right now when you did that was that I wasn't allowed to finish my sentence, and that
Because yours was
irritated.
more important.
Because yours was more important.
Anyway.
No, I'm just saying I would like to speak after you. That's all that was for.
Anyway.
Okay, well, I didn't hear that in this.
Anyway.
Communication.
So I don't even remember what I was going to say. And that, you know what? Okay, so I'll put that in there too. Because of I don't know if it's because of my age or my brain or whatever. There's a lot of times.
Games.
I don't play enough games. But I find a lot of times, because I know interrupting is another big thing, but I find if I don't interrupt and say what I'm thinking right then, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a lot of the times that's why I do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to be rude or mean to somebody else. It's just I know that by the time I let somebody
get
finish,
around to you,
yes, that I'm not going to have that thought anymore. And not that it's more important, but I feel like I want to say something. Okay.
So, and I'll use you as an example, but, huh?
So I'll get out of your camera.
Oh, I'll use you as an example, but there's a lot of people that say things in a tone, and I don't think they realize they do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so at some point, I take it the way you said it and your tone, and that bothers me. And to Zach's point, you could go, hey, you know what? This is how I heard it. And that's, I know what you're going to say because that's the tone, right?
Mhm.
Right. So I said, as an example, the other night, I wish you wouldn't feel that way. And that's my tone. And her reply was, don't tell me how to feel. Now.
No, what
That's
you said.
how
no,
it-
no. You need to listen. What you said was, "Don't be sad."
Oh,
you didn't
you're right.
say
You're
that.
right.
You
You're
said,
right.
"Don't be sad," which
You're
is
right.
different than what you just now said.
You're right. You're right. Don't be sad. I just didn't want you to be sad.
But
See, that's
that's
different.
different.
The way you worded it is
But
different. I
you're
don't want you
telling
to
me.
be sad, and don't be sad are two different things.
Right.
But I was being.
But I was trying to
my
be
head-
nice.
No, in my head, I was like, don't be sad.
And
But
then,
the
like,
reason but you were telling me how to feel. Do you not understand
And
that?
she's
I
a
don't-
strong, independent woman.
I know.
You can ask, I don't want
Much
you.
stronger now.
Okay, I don't want you to be sad is saying, I really don't want you to be sad. Saying, don't be sad is saying, you don't be sad. There's a difference.
Well, I understand there's a difference. I wasn't saying it, but I wasn't saying it with,
he wasn't trying to say it.
yeah, I wasn't
I-
saying it in a mean, directive way. I was just, don't be sad.
I understand what you're saying, but listen
But
to what
that's how
I'm
she
saying.
took it.
I know.
That's how it sounded.
So
Like the translators.
I'm glad we have translators around.
So
Just wait until it
Yeah.
turns into screaming. You'd be great.
he's been here.
He's been here before.
He usually
Is it-
interrupts, and as I said, he usually interrupts and goes, I love you guys.
Are you done, or do you have?
No, I'm done.
Okay.
I can understand both sides because, like, with tone, you can be like, I love you, and then it
Mhm.
sounds sarcastic, or
Mhm.
yell it, and then it sounds aggressive, and, like, in certain tones, it's like you don't actually mean what you say.
Yeah, I agree.
Your daughter's here.
Which one?
I don't know, but I'm guessing, unless that's a neighbor.
Well,
just
tell
heard
her
the
to
garage.
stop because we're still going. And She's
Okay.
gonna interrupt.
I'll see if it is, because it could be the neighbor too.
I
Anyway,
think it's the neighbor.
my truck's in front of the garage.
Oh, then it can't. Well, no, that doesn't mean it.
Anyway, my opinion, and it's been the same, and I've done plenty of podcasts telling people that this is my opinion on that. I think if it is not beneficial, I don't think you should have it in your life. And that doesn't mean you can't come back to it. That doesn't mean that it's altogether bad. But I think that there are things that, for the betterment of you or your family or anything like that, that it's a better decision to take some space away from that. And like I said, that doesn't mean that that's why I did the caveat of like how long that means is because like you can say I need space from you for until I feel better, and that's 2 years, 3 years, whatever. And that doesn't mean you can't come back to that doesn't mean you can't come back to being like, hey, I worked through this, I figured this out, I'd like to try or whatever. Or is this thing that I brought up to you over? Have you worked through this or whatever? But also that I think that if there is no mutual agreement between parties of like, I have a problem with this, I need you to work on this, or vice versa, and they don't make an effort, then
Yeah.
I think regardless of the connection, regardless of whether it's family or not, I think if there's no work on the other end, I don't think it's wrong for you to be like, hey, then we're just not gonna have a relationship anymore.
Right.
The reason I
I
asked the
think
question is because I have personally cut off family
Mhm.
for those types of reasons. And also, like, so you're not saying you need to necessarily benefit, but you need the other person to show they understand and try to put the effort into.
Yeah, because
You need to build that with you.
I think the only, and I've said this when I've talked about this, I think the only reason why it gets muddy and the only reason why people have a problem with it is because of the word family. If you were getting the same treatment from a friend or a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, everybody would be like, you don't need that person in your life. But because it's family
And
in that circle, everybody's willing to let things go or let things slide, or it doesn't matter how they
She
make
sits
you
in the
feel.
back bedroom.
I don't.
And I don't think
believe-
it's wrong.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's wrong in the same way as you would do it for any other relationship. I don't think it's wrong to be like, I can't have this in my life. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't come back to it. That doesn't
Right.
mean that you can't be like, okay, that was a time in my life where like I was feeling this way or I was going through, or whatever the case is, doesn't really matter. And come back and be like, I'm sorry that this happened, but I
Mhm.
needed my space. Or if they are the person making that a thing and they don't feel the need to change, I think it is in the same realm as whether it was a relationship or like a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. In the same way, I don't feel just because they're family, it's wrong to be like, I can't have this in my life.
I would agree with
Or
that.
at least before you do try to cut them off, at least have that conversation with them.
I think
like,
that's
this is
important.
how I feel.
I think that's important.
And then, but if they don't want to put the effort in to
Yep.
try to repair,
And they say, well, you're wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
we're done here.
Yeah. For sure.
that's
Yeah,
that was
I agree.
something I tried to do with one of my family members.
Mhm.
Is like just talk to him on a
Talking
deeper
about you now.
level and like
It's good.
try to see how he feels. Try to tell him a little bit how I feel.
Mhm.
But then it got to a certain point, and then he had called me a liar, and I'm like, I'm some bad things, but that's not
But
one
that's
of
not
them.
one of them.
And I was like, I'll tell you what I was talking about, but I am no longer going to talk to you because of that.
I think that there's, and I've said this, and there are people in our family that have this, I feel, inflated ideology of what family is.
Yeah.
And I think that family, although should be there and although should be there for each other, and me and you can disagree, but if you get in a fight, I'm backing you,
Yeah.
even if you're
I
wrong.
think-
I think there's an aspect to that, but also when it comes to that, when it comes to you and especially the well-being of not only you but your kids and your family unit outside
Your
of that,
personal, like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that should come first. If that means that a part of your family is causing whatever kind of harm you want to call it
Mhm.
in your family unit, your immediate, then I think that is your right's not the good word.
Well, you're protecting your
Yeah,
children.
it's
and
your
Yeah.
it's your job to be like, hey, if you can't respect these boundaries or respect my kids or respect my wife or whatever, then we just won't have a relationship. And that doesn't mean like, I don't know. That doesn't mean like you hate them. That just
no,
means
that just
like,
means you're protecting that unit
Yeah.
that you are in charge of at this
which
point.
it should have,
No.
which it should.
that was another reason why I had to cut off that part of the family, because you were disrespecting my like inner family.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you don't have to like them, but
Mhm.
you can still respect that person.
Yep.
To the point where like you're not gonna bash the people I care about most.
Mhm.
And if you are, then you can leave.
Yep.
And just knowing, like, I think a big thing is knowing your self-worth and knowing you don't need that other person, especially if they're treating you that way.
I think that plays into what I was saying is that there's an inflated thought process of what family means, and most people have it in their head of we'll go down with the ship in the name of we're all family,
I'm a big
and that's not healthy, nor I feel like is correct for how a family should be, in my opinion. I feel like a family should be that, what I just said, that if you're in trouble, I'm there. Whether I agree with you or not, I'm there. But that doesn't mean that I have to deal with you calling me names or disrespecting my family or my significant other or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what that means. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean both. It means worst case scenario, I have your back no matter what happens.
Mhm.
But that also means because we're family, and this is the give and take that I feel like a lot of people, especially in big families, don't really get, is that there has to be another side of that. It can't just be in the sake of family. I give and give and give to
boundaries.
you.
Right, you have to give
Like,
back.
Yeah,
I will be there for you in a serious situation, but I can't be there for you in like a communication type of way if you're going to do these types of things.
yep, for sure.
And like, I'm big on blood does not mean family.
Yep.
My friends, like I've told someone who is family, significant other,
Mhm.
like you're like family now.
Mhm.
We're not just friends.
Yep.
And he's like, that really means a lot.
Mhm.
Because it does to some people, their own household family doesn't feel like family.
Yep.
And that's why I appreciate the program I'm in so much, because at times it does feel like family. And that's what I think true friendships and relationships are. They feel like family. That's why my stepdad has always said, like, don't have friends, and friends aren't real, and friends is like not a thing, sort of thing.
Mhm.
And at first, I'm like, not understanding what he means by that. But looking at it now, I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. Anyone I would call a friend, half the time I'm talking about like someone I don't actually like
Mhm.
relate myself to, and like I'd be there for you, like you said, I'd be there for you in a serious situation,
But that's it.
but that's it.
Yeah.
And like, there's like 3 people that I can like confidently say are like friends and like I care about outside of the family.
Mhm.
That I'm like, okay, you actually understand. You hear me talk. You listen to me talk, but you also tell me things that you're going through as well. And it's like the trust and the honesty is like the biggest thing to me in any relationship.
Mhm.
So if I'm just talking to you and all you're saying is, yeah, I agree, I understand, I'm gonna feel like, okay, you're saying that, but like, do you actually?
You're not really listening to the words.
Right.
You're just waiting for me to get done.
That's why I like having deep conversations, because it's like I need the back and forth, not just one or the other.
Me talking.
Yeah.
I said this on the podcast that I did a couple days ago, is that's part of, to what you just said, that's part of why I like doing this, is because, and I'll make the same reference that I did, but if you're at a bar or at a party or whatever, and as an adult,
Mhm.
you're like, I hate my wife, she fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that's easy because you're gonna leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna be there most times. You're not gonna be there for very long. So the person you told that to is either gonna leave before you or you're gonna leave. They're not gonna know the difference. If you sit down and have a long conversation with somebody, there are things you're gonna say in reference that's gonna tell them that you don't hate your wife. You know what I mean? Like, nobody can hold up a charade for 3 hours continuously. Nobody can do it.
Mhm.
And so to that point, that's why I like also like long conversations, is because not only that, but you get people's real honest opinions on things.
Yeah.
To where, like, even there are times way back when I started doing this, there were times that like even my opinions would change in between 3 hours, because like just certain things that the other person would say would trigger my brain of being like, oh, maybe it wasn't, maybe I didn't mean to say that, or maybe like,
That's a thing I struggle with, is like I will change my opinion under pressure. Like I had told Grandma and Grandpa about this, like while I was in there, it's one of the things we're not supposed to talk about, but like politics, I was like, I don't really like Charlie Kirk, and I disagree with a lot of what he stood for and was about,
Mhm.
but he didn't deserve to die.
Mhm.
That was very a very brutal thing that happened, and he was like, why don't you like Charlie Kirk? And then I'm like, feeling pressured. I'm like, I don't know. I guess because of the people around me, that's what they think.
Mhm.
And then he's like, do you think he's racist? And I'm like, no. Just because I felt so pressured. But looking back at it
Mhm.
now, I'm like, I know the reasons I don't like him.
Mhm.
I don't think he's racist in a sense, but I think he's jealous. Like he talked a lot about like if there was a black pilot, I
Mhm.
wouldn't get on that plane because there was something like they were wanting more black people, so they're making it easier to become a pilot. So like I get that in a learning.
But you're gonna get on the plane with the white drunk guy.
Yeah, I get it in a learning and like qualifications type of way,
Mhm.
but still, I think it's a lot of jealousy is why he does that.
I
And then he's so confident when he lies, you wouldn't even know.
That's a good call.
That is a really good call because there are a lot of times, even in those videos, that he says stuff
Like I
that
love
isn't-
watching his
that
debates
isn't-
and stuff.
that
But like,
isn't true, but because he
is so confident about it, he'll make the other
people accept it that maybe what he just said is fact.
Like I wasn't a fan, but I liked watching his debates a lot because they were just so funny. How he has the mentality and the how would you word the confidence to debate against anyone
I
and
think-
win.
I think in that space, I think the part of what he did that I appreciate is that he was aggressively is the word that I want to use. Aggressively making people state their case.
Yeah,
And I think that that's something that was lost. And I'm not saying he was always right, and I'm not saying the things he said was always right, or the way he went about it, or even his little quip comments that were mean, that were
Yeah.
unnecessary. But I think as a whole, I like the objective that he was going for.
like
Because instead of you coming at me and being like, well, this thing is racist, me being like, why? And you giving me a TikTok fact instead of something you've actually like
experience.
experienced or researched or whatever, because this is the popular thing to say.
Yeah,
He pushed young kids to really, you have to back it up.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that every time that he did it, he let them really shine, because there were a few that did have facts and did back it up, and he kind of just steamrolled over top of them. But the idea that he was getting, I think I appreciate, because I think that that's something that I feel really strongly about, is that you
You need to be smarter than this.
need to be smarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
You can't
I
come up
think
to a
that-
mic and say, I don't like this. Why not? Because I don't.
I think the ability to have like social media and be able to get everything out at a moment's notice that you can is a good tool to have.
Mhm.
But I think we have lost the ability to do our own research
Mhm.
because of the immediate, like, I don't have to do research. I can find a TikTok video that's 10 seconds that tells me what I want
Right.
to hear. It has a little bit of fact in there that makes me sound like I know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
yeah.
Instead of your own experience, and instead of you doing the research, and instead of like stuff like that, you're able to sound smart without being smart, if that makes sense.
Sounds smart without learning the knowledge you
Actual,
need to
yeah.
prove that
Yes.
fact.
There's a podcast that I did a couple weeks ago to where I told Cheryl I felt like the nerd,
Mhm.
because when I'm interested in things, I deep dive on it, and there was something that I know a lot about, and I've done a lot of research, and I've read a lot of books on it. And to who I was talking to, I was giving his history and background, and like, well, this happened with this, and this is why we got here, and this is how we got here, and whatever. And halfway through, I realized that they had checked out, that
Really?
nothing that I was saying was interesting.
Wah, wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah, wah.
That's what.
And so I was telling Cheryl, I was like, I felt like that kid that's like just talking that nobody wants to listen to. But
Read
To-
the room, Zach.
but to the
Yeah.
But to the point, and I'm not saying that they're dumb by any means, but to the point of the Charlie Kirk thing, I feel like that is lost. Those kinds of conversations, those back and forths of like, you know something, I know something, you know historically, I know historically, like that sort of back and forth is kind of lost because we're just
going based off of the smaller
off
things
of like the small things that
not
like
looking
we've
into
heard.
it. Just like you say, oh yeah, the grass is actually blue, but because of the sun, the way it reflects, it makes it look green.
Yeah.
And me being like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's cool. The same with this, even saying that fact, but not knowing what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Is that I feel like we've gotten in a culture that can do that. But then when you get into like the actual like wavelengths and why those colors are the ones that shine through all the other ones, then because they've only studied that fact, they don't know, they aren't able to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
No.
And I think that's why a lot of people get stuck and aren't able to express, is because like not half, but like a small portion of what they know is fake.
Mhm.
And based off of very little information and very little like research and backup to prove that.
And it's okay to, and I've said this, I said this 2 days ago. I think it's okay to change your mind. I think it's okay to,
When presented with,
even with presented with other experiences, even not just facts, but like it's good to be able to change your mind. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 10, even 5.
Even
Like,
a week ago.
Like, you know what I
You
mean?
know?
So there are things, and I said this predominantly, I've openly said it on the podcast. I say this predominantly about my past relationship is that when I first started doing this podcast, I was angry. I was dealing with a lot of stuff. I was working through a lot of things that I hadn't ever worked through again or before. So like the beginning parts of this, when I would talk about my past relationship, it was angry. It was venomous. There were things that I said that probably were out of line. But then the longer it went on, the longer like I experienced things, the longer I worked through things, the more I realized that the things I said weren't really how I felt, maybe, but not like
It's really
how I
it
feel.
was just how you felt in that moment.
Yeah, it was
how
not
you
how
felt as a whole.
Yeah, it was not as a whole. To where opinions, I feel the same way, and we're so in a society that's like, well, you said politically, for example, you said you were a Democrat 20 years ago, so you can't vote for a Republican because you said this 10 years ago. When we're not allowing people to grow and be different, such as if I don't have the example, but I was gonna say like even if Charlie Kirk would have like admitted later and been like, I was really mean, like, you know what I mean? Like nobody would have. I shouldn't say nobody. Not a lot of people would have taken that serious because they would have been like, no, this is who you are.
My example is aliens. Everyone was so worried about and so curious about if aliens were real. Now the government comes out and says aliens are real. Nobody cares anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the craziest thing to me. I'm like,
but
we know there's a whole other species, but nobody cares enough to explore it now.
Mm-hmm.
And like the ocean too, like we stopped exploring the ocean because obviously we found something so like scary or dangerous that we decided to go act like we explored space.
I say this all the time.
Act.
I don't think I don't understand half this. I don't understand how there's thousands of satellites up there that weigh, I don't know how much, a lot.
That don't fall.
Not that don't fall, but like, how did you get all those satellites up there if we've only went, once, twice, a handful of times?
Because they sent them all up there first.
But
all
still,
the satellites were sent.
There's thousands and thousands.
They didn't advertise that they did.
You know,
a lot of spy satellites. They don't tell you.
You want a historical thing with the moon?
So, do you think people actually went to the moon?
I think people actually went to the moon. However, I don't think in my opinion, I don't think they did it when they said they did. And the only reason why we went to the moon is because it was military pushed. It wasn't an exploration.
Like,
it was
wasn't-
because Russia said, we're going to be on the moon
And then
this year. And the United States said,
Was
shit,
like-
we have to get up there now.
that was John F.
Uh-huh.
Kennedy, right?
Yep.
And it was like, we will get on the moon
Moon.
by this date.
Yep. Mhm.
That's what Grandpa was telling me about. Because I asked him about if he believes that we went to the moon too.
But I don't think I don't think that it was the why they said we went to the moon, and also personally, I don't think it was when it was told that we went to the moon. I think it was a failsafe for Russians being there first.
Yeah.
The same as every other country was in a rush to make an atom bomb, which pushed us for the Manhattan Project. If other countries didn't say that they had it or were working on it, I don't think we ever would have even pushed the research to do it. 'Cause there
I
was
think
no
a
need.
lot of it is you don't want to
You.
put the fear in the population. You want to put a nice warm blanket on everybody and say everything's fine.
Until we think they're ready.
Well, I would like to.
But
I
then
would-
the alien thing that he brought up is
Nobody
we've been saying
cares
alien,
anymore.
alien, alien for several years now, where they've conditioned you now to go, yeah, okay, there's aliens. It's no
And
big deal.
putting out
Just don't
movies
care.
and
Yeah,
putting
it's
out-
not that
yeah.
big deal anymore. Hey, green guy, how's it going?
I'm
I-
sorry, but
that
if I
just
still,
really,
if
really-
I
I
saw
also
some
don't
green
Extremely
guy
irritates me that
walking
people
out
don't care
here in
anymore.
the thing,
Or
it
I
also
majority
freak me
it
out, okay?
annoys me that not a lot of people care about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But also, that's to say that
But like,
because your brain works that way.
I've
There are people that blissfully go through the world and are like, well, whatever, because they don't care.
Like
Exactly.
I've
We know
seen
some.
things like floating in the sky and then just like zip away, or I've seen like some weird stuff happen like in the ocean or like just in the sky in general in the ocean. It's like some weird stuff that's like almost unexplainable, and I'm like,
I seen
how do I try to make this make sense?
Mhm.
Is always what I go to.
on the way to work one day and driving down Belpier. It's dark, right? And up in the sky, it's cloudy, but up in the sky, I see a light that went zip like that, right? And I was like,
Yeah,
holy cow, what was that? And like, 1, 2, 3. And all of a sudden you hear F-16s flying the same way and you go,
Hey,
okay.
knock it off.
But nobody said anything.
there was one time when weren't we supposed to go to war with Iran or something like that?
Well, we did go to war with Iran.
Sergio,
Because I remember there was jets flying over, and I was like, "Oh, okay, we're going to war.
Mhm.
Cool."
Yay!
Yeah.
Again.
And then, like,
it's a money-making scheme is all it is.
Don't
and
even
I
get me
was like,
started on that.
"Okay, I don't know how this is gonna turn out. Let me try to talk to certain people again and stuff."
Mhm.
But then it went to like not be as bad as how they made it sound, and I'm like, "Okay."
I think that there's a big thing when it comes to stuff like that most Americans, like you said, your brain runs on the why for everything. Where I would say on a generous end, maybe 70% of the population's brain doesn't work that way.
Or they want it
They don't-
spoon-fed to them.
They don't care
That's
Yeah.
why.
that as long as
They
there's
want
not
this happened. This is why, not all the
Anything
steps
in
in
between.
between.
Right.
and also they don't care unless it's happening to them directly.
Yeah.
Like no, I've heard this many times from many different people about the war in Ukraine, is that they're like, why do I care about that?
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
How does
Like,
it
why
affect
why
me?
does this affect
Why
the
does that
U.S.?
matter?
Why is our government
Yeah, why
worried
does that matter to
about
me?
a
Which
different country?
yes, there is an aspect to that of like, I personally feel like it's kind of shitty that you're not putting any money into your own company, but you can send billions of dollars for a war that you didn't start.
Yeah.
But also, you have to understand the cultural impact of that.
There's a
That's
bigger
not-
picture.
Showing the U.S. is about helping and not about like just
Well, not even
Taking care of their own.
not
Right.
even that. The war itself affects everything else.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's
Like-
not just us helping. It's not just like, oh, this is another war that the U.S. is in and that's draining us and it's fucking stupid. The outcome of this specifically will impact the rest of the world
Yeah.
in either a positive or a negative way. It's not a might. It's not a if these things go right, it will. Negative or positive, this will. So
Especially because we get almost every, like at least half of what we have
Mhm.
from other places.
Yep.
Especially China is, I'm pretty sure, one of the biggest.
Mhm.
We get almost everything from there, and they make it, and it's cheaper there. So they make it, they build it, or whatever, and then we buy
ship
it
out.
from them.
Mhm.
What's that got to do with mental health?
I was gonna loop it back in if you would have given me.
Oh, go ahead.
Good.
Sorry.
Keep it.
I was gonna
Loopy.
say because of that, I feel like, especially how like your brain works and my brain works on the whys and everything, added on to all of that, it's hard to separate those things, especially if you also added on have anxiety about things, to where you have all these things that are being pushed at you, not just from media but from the world. Like you need to get your homework done. You need to do this. You need to be a good person, and you need to start figuring out how to get a job. Are you working too much at that job? Are you saving your money?
Yeah.
And then you add
Am
on
I
all
taking care of me?
and then
And
you add on to the world stuff of like, oh shit, now I have to worry about if there's going to be bombs on it, and if we're going to do this, and if Trump's going to have us do this, and if we're going to, you know what I mean? Like all of that stuff added on, if you're not checking in with yourself in those moments of like, am I good? Are we okay? Like it could very quickly like spiral out of like, I'm so overwhelmed with everything that like, I don't think I can do anything.
I think that's a big reason why my depression got so bad is I used to regularly think like that, constant, every single thing. And then it was like, what am I supposed to do? To the point where like, I also told grandma and grandpa about this, like my brain would just shut off. There was a week in school where I was like, I don't understand anything.
Yep.
I don't remember anything we did. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it made me so irritated. And then once I got out of it, I'm like, not then, but now I understand why. Because the mental overload of the brain,
You had to
it needed a
reboot the
break,
system.
Yeah.
basically.
Good call. Reboot.
That's why I want to go into psychology to learn about it even deeper, is because it's so interesting and so cool to me, like how the brain works, like how this random, what you think is a random smell can bring you memories. What you think is a random picture can bring back a certain feeling.
Or even the specific color in that picture that means nothing to you can remind you of something.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like a song, you listen to like a smidgen of it, and it might be a song you've never heard before, and it makes you think of something that happened in your life, you know?
Yeah. Also, like, I'm big on the multiple realities thing and multiple timelines, because I feel like everyone lives their own life until old age and dies. But I feel like certain times when you like feel weird, it's like because you passed away in a different lifetime.
There's a thing that Cheryl has said since as long as I've known her of deja vu.
Yeah.
It's just you being where you're supposed to be. It's your body catching up to where it is. That's why you remember.
I've had way too many occurrences. Like I was telling
Tell me about it.
I will. I was telling this. I was thinking about this girl that I remembered from Bayport. And then the next day, she's in the class. And I'm like, literally just told her because I was so shocked. I was like, I was thinking about you like 2 or 3 days ago. And now you're here. That's
crazy.
Yeah. And I had started talking to her and was telling her about it. And I was like, I can't even wrap my head around this. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. That's just why, another reason why I want to get into psychology, like to try to understand how those types of things work.
And psychology is like so
vast.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can go into. it's more than just that type of,
I know.
there's so many different things you can look at inside that's covered by psychology.
Mhm.
It's, I mean, even if you don't end up going into it like your uncle is, you can study it so much.
And it makes you crazy.
Those-
And then it makes you
But the
crazy.
craziest
And there's-
people are the best. And
there's a lot of things that you
Yeah.
can, and there's a lot of things as far as psychology goes that you can learn without school.
Yeah.
That I feel like go under the radar of most people.
that was
Mhm.
a big problem for me too. Is going to college is like I don't have the proper education I need, but I'm like I know so much about psychology. I feel and like I could do that, and it's gonna probably be difficult to learn the like academic aspects, but I could do it.
But you understand the other stuff.
Yeah, because like in school, I have an ego from my grandpa. So in school, people were calling me like dumb and stuff. So I was like, okay, watch.
Okay.
And
Watch and learn.
2 or 3 weeks, I had got straight A's, and I'm like, see, and I just let my grades drop back.
I'm not done. You're done.
Yeah, you're
I'm
done.
not-
But you need the motivation to be able to
Yeah.
do it.
I'm not dumb. I just don't like putting myself in uncomfortable situations. Like I don't like sitting still in a chair, being told what to do.
Or effort that seems wasted.
Yeah, like
That was my-
that was a big thing. Is like I'm doing all this, putting in all this effort to get a piece of paper that says I'm better than average.
I was gonna.
It's
I was-
literally what I told
Well, I was
Better
gonna
than
say,
someone
average.
from school.
well, I was gonna say that. I mean, I said this to your grandma a couple weeks ago. Of like that was my biggest problem in school, and that was why I made it a point. That's why I made it a point to get my GED before I was supposed to graduate. Because like all through school, that's what it was. I remember thinking that of like this is dumb. Like there's no reason for me to put this effort in. I know this. Why do I have to? I can tell you I know this. I can explain this to you verbally. Why do I have to take these tests and whatever?
Yeah.
Like you know.
And then
And so when I ended up dropping out, that was my motivation because I was like, okay, I'm going to show you that
I
I'm
know
Drop out
smart
because
enough.
yeah.
I didn't drop out because I'm dumb,
I dropped out because I feel this is dumb and
and I did.
I
No,
don't need it.
yeah, and I did. No studying, no nothing. Passed
I'm
my
not dumb. This is
my,
dumb.
Passed my GED in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and then was like,
See,
that's it. Yeah,
I told you type of thing.
yeah.
Well,
Pretty
I
much.
will tell you this. I discussed this with your mother. She has a path you can get on to get where you want to go. Even if you got a GED or whatever, there's a path. She knows the path because she took it. Even though she had a high school diploma.
I have time.
We're close. You want last licks, last comments?
Self-care and stress management.
Self-care is a big thing that you have to, in my opinion, that you have to figure out for yourself of what your self-care is. I've said for years that everybody's is different and it can change, but the best thing for your mental health as a whole is to understand the things that bring you back to level. I'm trying to stop this aspect, but one of the things that I figured out early on for myself is having that time at the end of the day to smoke a cigarette before I go to sleep. And that was always, no matter what happened throughout the day, that was always that one thing for me that was like right before I go to bed so nothing else can happen.
It was like a self-care check. Like
Yeah, it was like so are we good?
Yeah.
Are we going to sleep level? Fine.
Yeah.
And then throughout the day, you have. It took me a long time, but I feel like you have to figure out how to do those little check-ins with yourself throughout the day too, to try to keep you. And if something is out of whack or going one way or another, to acknowledge it, even if you're not fixing it, to acknowledge it early.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, we're going through this, or we're figuring this. I also, I will say, which is helpful, but also I would say having somebody that understands that too is also helpful, whether that be like a friend or a significant other, because like even in moments where you don't know how you're feeling, having somebody that understands like these are your triggers, or this is a route that might happen or whatever, is super helpful in that way, because then you don't feel like you're doing it alone.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like it's your sole responsibility to quote fix the problem.
Yeah, like when I had first came back from the mental hospital, like the day after was Thanksgiving, and that's the reason I wanted to. Another reason I wanted to come out is because I was like, I don't want to miss Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
You were like, come with me and like let's go for a ride.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom had said something, and you're like, because he doesn't like you or something like that, and I was like, okay, he actually understands.
Mhm.
So it was just very like eye opening to like people actually see
What's going on,
what's going on.
or at least acknowledge that there's something there.
Yeah.
So
As I've said to him several times,
Yeah.
it's all perspective, and you don't know what people are going through or why.
so
You're seeing it from your point of view.
But is that also count as an excuse?
ooh.
I don't know if it's an excuse, but it's something that needs to be recognized. It could be an excuse, but
I do.
it still needs to be recognized.
I feel at least lately I've been able to look at almost everything from multiple point of views.
So
I
because
think you're really trying. and
because
working
there's nothing wrong with you. Do you want to go first on how you handle your mental health?
Smoke some weed.
It's an option.
I thought you quit.
It's like 36,
Willie
46 years ago.
Willie Nelson is fucking 90 years old, and it's working pretty well for him.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like he's struggling with a whole lot.
I think,
because his brain's not functioning.
you know, and not to put any pressure on anybody, like my wife, but
Again.
my wife is my mental health. That, yeah. Oh my God. No, I took this, and she'll say this too. Well, I took this cue from your grandpa. He and your grandma had this thing when they were working, that they would come home and bitch about their day if they had a bitch, and get it out of their system
And then move on.
and then move on. And it was a great thing. And that's what your mom and I used to do.
Now I go home and I talk to your grandpa,
Yeah.
your great grandpa or your grandpa and your great grandpa about my day. And then when I come in, I'm all great. So then I just have to listen to.
So then you have to figure out a way to
But
do
it's
it
a-
yourself.
No, I listen to
I've
him.
always called all four of you guys just grandma and grandpa.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But it's
Once you
I
get into
lean
the
on
grace, it gets complicated.
I lean on her because I can get things out of me. And once I get things out of me, I'm fine and I relax. So that's it. I think a big one is
Just dumps
just,
all his problems on me.
No. but
Doesn't that feel good for the
It
both
feels
of us? That's
great.
So, like-
it's just good to get it out of you, and even you,
Yeah.
and you can go, okay, I just need to talk to somebody and get it out of me. I think the worst thing is to hold it inside of you, think nobody cares and nobody's going to understand you, and they do, and they can.
Mhm.
And again, just getting it out of you is half the battle, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I probably will, just because I'm not perfect, and I know I am not.
I'm not perfect, but I know I am.
There's that ego he gets
Yeah.
from his grandpa.
Oh wait, I misspoke there. Sorry.
A little delay on that.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not perfect, so I probably will end up having a mental breakdown in the future. But since I've been having these deep conversations with almost everybody I've been talking to, I have not had one
Mhm.
mental breakdown. And like, I think being able to talk to people who understand really helps a lot.
Mhm. For sure.
And music,
And
Mhm.
ignoring everybody.
I
I would. I
I've
would
been
go
saying,
to that.
I've always said, like, I don't like people.
Mhm.
but it's not that. It's I don't like average people.
I can 100% go with you on that. I have a really hard time with people, like I said before.
Me, I hate dumb people.
I have a really hard time dealing with people that aren't at least on my level, because I feel like, and maybe this is selfish of me, talking down to you takes way too much effort on my end.
Yeah,
having you being like explaining a word or something to you or a reference to you is one thing, but a whole concept, having to dumb it down and be like, I don't understand that. Okay, well, this is what I meant. I don't understand that. Okay, this is what I meant. Oh, okay, I kind of like, that's too much effort.
Yeah.
I'll give you one revision of what I just said.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
Then we're going to change the subject
Yeah.
onto cartoons you watched
Yesterday. I would agree. That's why I love doing this, and that's why I've been doing this, and I will continue to probably do this even after the podcast thing is not a thing anymore.
After all your viewers have left you.
Because I also enjoy talking to people. I think that is where you learn the most, and I think that from a public standpoint of putting it out there into the world, I think that further pushes the idea that we are able to sit down and talk with each other, and we are able to have conversations, and we're able to talk about hard things and stories, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing or a me versus you thing. Like, we can have difference of opinions, we can have different lifestyles and different ways of doing things, and still be able to have a civil conversation about it.
that's a big reason I pushed Jordan to stay the night over here, because I was like, you can actually talk to Grandma and Grandpa, and like he did, and then his face
You could tell
literally lit up, and he was like, I think it was like a shocking, like, oh, I don't have to hide everything kind of situation. And I don't know, that made me happy that I could help him help him try to get to a point to where I am.
in the same way as when I asked you to take a ride with me at Thanksgiving, in the same way as I had no intention of you talking to me if you didn't want to. But the fact that, and I said this to Cheryl later that I thought was funny, the fact that when we got in the truck, you were like, I don't really want to talk about it. And I was like, okay, fine. And then we talked about it. Was like, I'm glad that like you're able to do this. Like, it's not like
It's not.
hey, what's up with you? Nothing. Okay, cool. That's awesome.
What kind of music you like? I'll turn that on the radio.
Yeah.
It's never necessarily that I don't want to talk about it. It's that I don't think I can, or that I don't think you will understand.
But in the same way as you said about Jordan, like, just that, like, I could see it in your face of like, I'm able to talk about it, was like, it meant something to me, because I was like, okay, at least like he's willing. I don't need to know the whole story. I don't need
like, I didn't need to know anything you guys talked about, but knowing that you did talk to them
was nice. Yeah. Anyway, what's you?
I have a question.
How do you deal with your mental health?
Well, I, like you, also
She likes you.
That's nice.
use my vape as a thing. I don't have it with me all day or anything like that, but at night it's kind of a thing before I go to bed. It's kind of like okay, this is the end of the day and I'm good, and I go to bed. Other than that, I think I do a lot of breathing, and I think I do a lot of deep breathing because that's what I teach to my kids when they're getting escalated, and it works. I do a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah, like that. And I think talking to your dad when I get home, or now talking to my dad when I get home, and releasing all of that stuff, I think not only does it make for a better night because you're not holding on to that and you get it out of you, it also, I think that's also an end to the day. Okay, so that's over now. I can move on to something else. And then I listen to music. I'm a big music person, as everybody
I'm
knows.
trying to like distance myself from music to an extent because I always have headphones on. Like at work, I told Grandpa, "Can you bring me some earbuds?"
Mhm.
I got in trouble.
You got in trouble.
After the fact, and I was literally like, there was one girl I was working with telling me like, you can't wear earbuds, and I'm like, I know, I don't care though.
Mhm.
And I was like, if my manager that I like tells me to take them out, I'll take them out. But otherwise, I don't care.
Otherwise,
I'm
leave it
gonna
alone.
listen to music.
And so he did, and he had to take him out.
It happens.
Yeah. So then I was also like telling him about me wanting to get a second job, in like a factory, and it had nothing to do with me not liking the job. It had to do with I can listen to music,
Mhm.
and I can do my job, and I can work.
Get your
I can
fingers and
work
hands cut
better
off 'cause
when I'm
you're
listening
listening
to
to it.
music.
Yeah, I don't think
Sometimes.
in our factory you're not allowed earbuds or anything. You can't.
Can at Amazon.
Can you? I was gonna say because for
You can do
several
ev-
reasons.
You can do everything at Amazon.
For several reasons,
You can wear
Because-
underwear if you want to.
you're not.
Wow.
For several reasons, you're not hearing things you should hear,
Mhm.
and the fact that something could fall out onto an assembly line and shut the whole line down, and that's money. You
Yeah.
never want to shut something down because that's money.
Yeah. For me, I don't understand like
Speaking of a real
simplistic
corporate
minded people because for me, I'm so aware.
Yep.
So I don't understand people who can easily get into crashes and not drive and bad drivers.
Mhm.
I get so irritated when I drive so quickly because I'm like, dude, use your turn signal.
Mhm.
Like I can drive crazy sometimes, but I always still use my turn signals. And I'm like,
It's literally right there.
it's not hard. You pull it down, you push it up. It's
Yeah.
two moves.
Come on, simpletons.
Come on.
So what are you? You want me or you?
No, I was gonna say you might want to wrap this up because I'm sure she's back.
I was gonna say like before the mental hospital and recently I did not like myself nor love myself, but like realizing how good I am in the psychological sense
Mhm.
was like so mind blowing and made me think in such a positive way. Where I'm like damn near like I can conquer the world
Mhm.
and do whatever I want to do.
Love that. Love that about you.
Well, thanks for talking.
Did you want to say anything?
I'm
Not Tiffany's here. I
Do you want me to say anything?
Sure.
No, I think that I think it helps when you have the mindset of the wise. But I think I have always and will encourage everybody to dig. It may be uncomfortable, it may suck, it may be something you don't want to deal with or remember or whatever. But I think digging and finding out the whys of why you personally, even if you don't tell anybody about it, why you personally operate and work, I think is beneficial not only for you, but for the people around you.
Mhm.
And it helps you be a better person. And I'm not saying that I am the best or have got it all down because I don't. But I know that because of all the work and stuff that I've done, it's made me better for other people.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Like I'm not the best, but I'm better than average on a psychological level.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I can appreciate that about myself.
Do you want to say toodles?
I don't know the beans and cornbread, but I always like when Cheryl does it.
Cameo appearance.
Cameo?
Cameo appearance.
How's your mental health, Tiffany?
Peanut's the smartest one at this table.
Probably.